So, another episode of Stories and Conversations. And this month we've been talking about inclusive insurance. And I believe I've already mentioned on the first episode why I talk about this topic, why I'm passionate about this topic. But then to close us off, I couldn't have thought of a better person to talk about why inclusive insurance is really needed or how it can be achieved in the African industry, actually, not just the healthcare industries, but actually the insurance industry. So my guest with me is Siani, and he'll introduce himself. He's actually an industry leader, but let me allow him to introduce himself, then we'll get right onto it. So Siani, over to you.
Thanks, Raquel. Hi, everybody. My name is Siani Malama. I'm currently with an insurtech company called Democrans. I'm based out of Nairobi, Kenya. I look after the sub-Saharan Africa region, trying to, just to your point, try to address the protection gap by providing microinsurance solutions to millions of consumers that do not have insurance.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question, and I'm excited to be part of the conversation.
I'm glad that you're finally on the show after trying to get you for quite a while, but I'm glad you're closing out this series for us. And Siani, you've been in this industry, or let's say you've been contributing in the inclusive insurance space for quite a while. How long has it been? How many years?
Yeah, so I mean, I started my career probably about 12 years ago when I was out of Johannesburg in South Africa. But I've been actively involved in inclusive insurance for about just close to 6 years now.
Oh, nice. Wow, 6 years. 6 years is quite a long time. And you've been playing a role in the Kenyan space, but also Africa as a whole, because I think I've mentioned in the previous episodes that the challenges in the African market are actually similar across almost all African countries. So I'm glad that you're actually contributing in this particular space. And maybe let me ask, did you fall into this, or is it something that you've always been passionate about? How did it come about? How did you get into contributing in this space?
Sure. I mean, my background is I've always worked for insurance companies. So I've always been sort of like in the corporate space. When I started insurance, started off in conventional insurance, and over the years, like the different markets that you see, you just find that it's the same stuff, right? Like everybody's competing for the same customer. It's a price war. So I just didn't find that exciting anymore. And what actually happened, how I fell into microinsurance is when I moved to Zambia with my previous employer. That's where I really saw the opportunity and in terms of insurance solutions for mass market or low income consumers. And from that point, that's when I really started doing a bit of research. Really fell in love with the microinsurance space. Approached a couple of development agency partners that we could partner with, and that's how we started with microinsurance in Zambia. And 6 years later, managed to work in Zambia and moved to Kenya, where I was inclusive insurance business insurance company in Nairobi. And now with an insurtech called Democrats, where we're looking at and expanding across sub-Saharan Africa. So yes, it's been a tough journey, but exciting one as well at the same time.
All right, so that's really interesting. So let me ask, Siani, you've mentioned that you've been in this for 6 years. And inclusive insurance, I think it's a buzzword right now. I was told it's still a buzzword. So why do you think that we don't have such a high uptake of insurance, whether it's in Kenya or in other African markets? Why is the uptake very low?
Yeah, thanks for that. I think if you take it from an Africa perspective, right? I mean, insurance penetration in Africa alone is, I think it's less than 3%, compared to global penetration, where I think it's sitting around about 7 or just about 7%. So it just shows you that from an African opportunity, the opportunity is massive, right? I mean, Africa, we've got in excess of 1 billion people, and of which only a fraction have insurance. But there are two sides to it, from a demand aspect and from a supply aspect. Some of the key challenges from a demand perspective is that consumers do not trust financial institutions. Period. Yet alone insurance. So that creates to access products. To affordability is a huge challenge. With the low-income consumers, you're competing for a portion of the customer's wallet, right? Where other priority aspects competing against insurance. In some cases, it's really a matter of do I pay my insurance premium or do I put food on the table? So those are competing aspects that that we find from a demand aspect. And also just consumer awareness and lack of education. So these are just some of the barriers that contribute to the low uptake. From a supply perspective, we find a lot of insurance companies in general are struggling to meet low-income consumers from a distribution aspect. The distribution is very costly. Then it doesn't make the business case viable or sustainable for growth.
Okay.
We find a lot of mismatch in terms of customer needs and right. A lot of products that are out there are not really addressing customer pain points, and as such, customers then do not buy or do not see the value in such products. So these are just some of the challenges that contribute to the low uptake, and I think that the very of insurance being an intangible product, you can't buy insurance and show off to your friends. Listen, look at my insurance policy, right? Compared to buy a phone, for example, you can't go around saying, hey, I've got this insurance policy, So the very nature that it's an intangible product, and consumers want when they spend whatever, they want to have something that they can feel and touch. So those are definitely some of the key challenges that we find, which definitely contributes to the low uptake of insurance solutions across the continent.
Yeah, and I hear you on that, but let me challenge you a little bit and allow me to do this. Insurance is actually supposed to be a sort of financial protection mode or something like that. So it's supposed to protect me from any financial upheaval that might happen because of either an illness or if I get an accident with my motor vehicle or anything of the sort. So if that is something that is really key for me as a consumer, how comes I still don't have the right products? How comes I don't actually have that information about insurance products that would be beneficial to me? Because I know it's going to protect me, but not everyone knows it's going to protect them financially. So how comes I still don't have the right insurance products as whatever age bracket that I'm in? How comes I do not have the right insurance products? Because for me, I believe it's more of education, because if you educate me as an insurance provider and tell me this will cover me with X and X and X, chances of me thinking about it and taking it up are very high. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is maybe education is not as rampant as it needs to be. And maybe that's why we don't have that much uptake of insurance. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think in general, there's not enough investment in terms of customer-centric products. And by that, I mean, these are products that are designed for customers with customers, right? As opposed to product designed out of the boardroom by insurance experts, and then when it goes in the market, we wonder why the product has failed.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's not enough customer engagement, there's not enough customer centricity that goes into the product, to design the solution with customers, at the core and at the center of what you're designing. So that's one element of it. I totally agree that when it comes to education and awareness, there's just not enough that's being done at an industry level to educate consumers about the insurance, right? I think if when customers really start seeing the value, then it becomes an easier take, and it becomes an easier approach for consumers to really get the product because they see value, right? And between you and me, like if you see value in whatever it is that you're going to spend money on, you're going to buy it, right?
Yes.
And this is where at an industry level we are really failing in that we're not showcasing the value, so we're not investing enough in educating customers, but we just want to force down products down customers' throats, and we wonder why the uptake is low. Remember, as I mentioned earlier on, in inclusive insurance or microinsurance, you're really competing with life-changing costs, right? It's in some cases it's the matter of do I pay my insurance premium, or do I put food on the table, or do I pay my kids' school fees, etc. So that's what we're competing with. We're actually competing with the customer and not another competitor as an insurer. So if we as an industry really invest more in educating awareness and let us show value in the products that are in the market, I'm convinced that definitely we will see a take of insurance solutions.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're saying that. And let me just touch on what you're talking about in terms of competing needs, especially for the lower income bracket. And let me just ask, if you, as an industry or an insurance provider, or someone who proposes, or an organization that proposes products, if you proposed a product that is affordable and has frictionless payments, do you think that would be a solution for this particular market? Because what I know for insurance companies is numbers. Yeah, especially for that income bracket is numbers. So just imagine creating a product that is affordable and educating the individuals around what the benefits are for that particular product. Do you think the numbers will come? So combining both, the what is it called, the education part of it, investing into the education and information and all that, and then making the payments a little bit frictionless, so that this individual, even though they have other needs, they can also prioritize purchasing that particular insurance product because it is beneficial to them. Do you think this is one of the solutions for this market, or for this income bracket?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, one of the barriers or one of the challenges from a supply perspective is premium collection, right? From microinsurance, these are low ticket products. The premiums are really, really low, so you need to have that frictionless payment solution to enable you to collect effectively, efficiently, at minimal cost as possible. Because margins are very low, right? So your efficiencies have to be really really spot on. So one of the ways is definitely to look at embedding the insurance product with a financial product that consumers are making use of, and getting into the spend pattern or collection pattern that customers are used to. So often you find that insurance premiums, it look fine. We need to collect the premium, say by the end of the month, on the 25th or 26th or whatever date that collection is. But then when you sit back actually thinking, okay, at the end of the month, people have actually other priorities right? And insurance is just going to fall down that priority list, in terms of paying. So is the end of the month the best time to collect? I don't think so, right? But what on a weekly basis, they're meeting they're meeting with their friends, or on a daily basis, even they buy stock and they sell it at the end of the day, and they repay their loans. So why not attach insurance with that spend that consumers are making use of? To your point, where you remove that friction when it comes to customers paying for the premium, and the industry collecting the premiums, from consumers, so that you maximize on that, on the numbers, right? Because to make it sustainable, you need the numbers. Otherwise, we find that the microinsurance will not be sustainable in the long run.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. So let me also ask another question, because what I'm trying to get at is how we can achieve inclusive insurance, how we can have the numbers, how we can have more people get attracted to purchasing these insurance products. So there's this aspect for, Africans coming together, especially when either someone has passed away or someone has a medical challenge, or they want to fundraise for their medical needs. This is an African thing. It's actually a cultural thing. So do you think, we can actually address healthcare needs on a wider scale? And then we still have this cultural aspect embedded to it, and make it a more attractive, what do I call it? An attractive proposition, because we have to have this culture thing embedded. Do you think that's also another aspect to scale up or to have more attractive products, especially for healthcare? Because I remember when I was having a conversation with one of the guests here, they said that when they go to the field and talk to individuals, their number one need is healthcare. But then I don't think we have as many healthcare products to cover this need. So do you think embedding the cultural aspect into products, and I don't know how that can be done, would actually make it more attractive?
Yeah, I think one of the mistakes that we keep on making at an industry level is to really undermine or underestimate the culture, right? I mean, I was working across Africa, you're working in different markets, different cultures, right? And you have to be cognizant of the cultural beliefs in certain markets, and as opposed to competing with cultural beliefs and cultural safeguards, because this is what consumers use, right? They use a lot of informal coping mechanisms, from cultural beliefs to communities coming together, to families, etc. So somehow they manage, right? But we know that it's a costly tool to use. So opposed to trying to replace them is we need finding ways of how can we complement what they're using, and just formalize it into a bit more structure, but not to rather complement it, with a formal coping mechanism. And how you position it is also very important. In many markets that we come across, for example, if you look at, I'll come back to the health aspect just now, but if you take funeral as an example, in many African markets, funeral policies do not sell, because the minute it's about a funeral policy, it's a taboo, right? It's like you're bringing death onto a person, and that's a cultural belief, and you can't compete that, or you can't replace it, right? So as opposed to having a funeral product, it's really how you position it. Rather position it as a family support, a product that is not associated with, product that to buy groceries, or pay the rent. Something that is attached to is very, 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 very critical. We keep on seeing the the rise in healthcare, and even just primary first level healthcare. One, there's no access to such facilities. In this facility is, especially for consumers, rural areas, this facility is probably like in your urban areas that, they have to find transport money to go. So there's a lot of challenges around that. And I strongly believe that if we invest a bit more in preventative measures, where, for example, we're taking health solutions to the community, taking health solutions to the people, even if it's on a subscription basis of some sort, then people start seeing the value. Even if I'm paying, say, 10 shillings a day, I can go to this doctor that is a walking distance from where I am, and I can access at least this level of primary care.
Yeah.
In terms of health solutions. So we definitely need to take services to the consumers where they are within the communities that they are, and I believe, if we address these challenges, we should be able to see a higher uptake and a higher increase in consumers accessing insurance.
Yeah, and Siani, you're talking about all these amazing things, and I'm actually getting excited when you're talking about all these solutions and how they can actually be implemented. But where does it start? Because Siani, it, we've been on this for a while now, talking about it for a while now, and I love conversations, don't get me wrong, but then how do we achieve this? How do we really make the rubber meet the road? Because we need to get out of having conversations and implementing and achieving this, because we can't every year in, year out, we can't be talking about 3%, and this is across all insurance products, I believe, except maybe motor vehicle, which is an act, and everyone has to have it. But then for the basics, like especially healthcare, which is a need, it's a prevalent need in most societies in Africa. Where do we start? Like, how do we make the rubber meet the road? That's what I want to see. So where do we start, according to you, Siani? And maybe you would have one perspective and another person would have another perspective, but I want to hear from your perspective, where does the rubber meet the road? Where do we start to achieve all this?
100%, yeah. I think it's a combination of various strategies, right? Definitely there needs to be a bit more action-driven conversations. To your point, like year in, year out, we discuss the same thing, and we're still not seeing that uptake or that increase that we need to see. So there's definitely more action-driven conversations need to be happening at different levels. From partnerships between private and public sector. We're seeing a lot of market development agencies that are very, very active, across sub-Saharan Africa, trying to increase that impact and increase that uptake of, reduce that protection gap rather. So it's definitely different levels of conversations. But we need more action-driven outputs as opposed to just conversation, right? Like I know at the moment, climate change, for example, I know it's not really health related, but climate change is a big issue. It's a big challenge. And we've been talking about climate change for as far as I can remember. But in all these challenges, definitely to move more from conversations to really let the actions start supporting the conversations that are being held at different levels with various stakeholders. Yeah, and it's a combination of stakeholders. I don't believe the private sector can do it alone. I don't believe the sector can do it alone, or development agencies can do it alone. It's really, there's more collaboration that is required. Like I keep on saying on my LinkedIn page, like we need more collaborative approach and strategies, as opposed to everybody trying to get a piece of the pie. But how can we be a bit more collaborative? Because at the end of the day, we're all driving and trying to achieve the same goal in terms of reducing the protection gap. So we need to start being more collaborative and driven. That's my
and I agree with you. And I hope to see more collaborations, more action. Let's try out all these things. And I actually believe in trials, what we call pilots. So think of an idea, collaborate with a willing partner and have it running, and you never know. And that's what I've been doing even with my previous employer, just piloting all these ideas, especially for healthcare, because for me, I'm very passionate about healthcare. So piloting all these ideas and creating propositions that will reach out, especially to the vulnerable and marginalized communities, because we've already addressed what I would call the upper to middle class segments, because they can access insurance products very easily. But then for the vulnerable and marginalized communities, this is something that they need to really think about before they even purchase it, because as you rightfully said it competes with other needs. So I really want to see more action, and I hope with people like yourselves and even the organization that you're contributing for, that we'll see more of these products and we'll see more uptake. And maybe as we come to a close, as Siani, and I think you've mentioned it, you talk about it on LinkedIn, but what do you do as Siani to influence these conversations, to influence this uptake? And as you answer that, you can also say where we can find you, where anyone who wants to interact with you can find you, like your contact details, and where you contribute the most to this particular topic.
100%. Yeah, I think, I mean, for as Siani, one of the areas that I honestly believe is, as I'd mentioned, around collaboration, right? So I'm always engaging with, from like a development agency that are looking at market development. I'm always engaging with them, always engaging with other stakeholders that are in the microinsurance or inclusive insurance space to say, what can we be doing different, participating in webinars, sharing knowledge, gaining knowledge as well. I'm always open to, to speak or to do whatever I can to contribute, from the little experience that I have, around how can we advance this, how can we reduce the protection gap. And I always look like, in every job that I've had, ever since I got into microinsurance, I always give myself target listen to say, listen, I need to bring that impact, difference in people's lives, and whether it's through technology, insurance, but really just having that impact for me is key. I'm where am I? I'm quite active on LinkedIn. So if you just me on LinkedIn, drop me an inbox. I promise I will respond. That's where I think the easiest platform that I can be reached on if anybody was trying to reach me. Yeah.
Perfect. And I'm really glad we've had this conversation. I hope a lot more stakeholders will be involved in the conversations and being engaged with people like you to actually bring all this to light and to realize all these ambitions and the impact that you want to have in this particular industry. So thank you, Siani, for being on the show. I really appreciate it. It is an honor. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, and the conversation as well. Sorry it took so long for us to finally.
No worries.
That's what
yes, the wait was worth it. Thank you.